Hello all, welcome back to the New World Old Soul podcast. It is a evening podcast for us. A long day of watching a lot of television, which ordinarily we do not like doing. But as we were recording this, it is Sunday. Today was Charlie Kirk's memorial. And before everybody freaks out, we are not going to be harping on this too hard. I know there's been a lot of discussion online about Charlie Kirk. We have been guilty of being a part of that. We don't want to spend too much time on it, but it was a relevant event, so we figured we'd at least brush over it very quickly here. What'd you think?
I thought it was beautiful. It was really nice to see so many people coming together just to worship. It just felt like a big worship service, like a big church service.
Well, it was for the first few hours, and it was so amazing to see. So impactful to see 100,000 or so, maybe a little shy of 100,000 people singing worship songs together and all that. Very, very powerful.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was beautiful. I really liked what a lot of people said, and it was a nice thing to view as a family.
It was.
Yeah.
For sure. Erica Kirk spoke. What'd you make of that?
I thought it was great.
I can't imagine publicly grieving like that. And she's been catching some arrows this past week, which I feel awful about for her.
For sure. Yeah. A lot of people have kind of been comparing her to Jackie Kennedy because she's been, their little kids are so young, they don't know what's going on. And so she's like Jackie Kennedy, when she was planning JFK's funeral, she was literally going from one room planning his funeral and then going to the next room at the White House and doing John's birthday party. And like over there, like, happy birthday. And Erica's having to do the same thing. Her daughter's like, come play on the floor with me, mommy. And so she's playing on the floor with a smile on her face, all while trying to plan this massive memorial. So it's interesting because Erica was very, like, at Young Women's Leadership, I actually was a little like, with her messaging to Nevaeh, because Nevaeh had a question for her.
Right.
And she said, how do you think that I should balance? I want to have this career. I want to work for you guys, actually. How am I going to balance this in family? And I felt like Erica's message was very much like, no, you need to prioritize getting married and having kids. And I felt like she was being a little dismissive of Nevaeh's goal of her desire and goals of being kind of an online voice and having her own career and building something for herself. And it was kind of like, well, this is easy for you to say. And now Erica finds herself in literally the hardest situation possible. And like Nevaeh went, ooh, see, like, this is kind of what I was thinking. Like, what if things don't work out ideally? Like,
yeah, it's crazy how things played out given the nature of her question at the time. Yeah. And, not knowing that literally weeks later, we'd find ourselves where we currently do.
Yeah. Erica is now finding herself in exactly the space where Nevaeh was worried, like, you kind of have to plan for.
And she was named CEO of TPUSA.
Yeah.
With Charlie's passing.
Going from being a completely stay-at-home mom to being the CEO of this massive organization. And now she needs to balance this new life and this new calling, which it really does seem to be a calling. So it's going to be really interesting to see how she handles it. I'm sure she'll do it with grace. I'm curious to see if her messaging changes or if it remains the same. So that'll be really interesting.
Yeah, it was cool to see so much worship happening for an event that included so many of our governmental officials, including President Trump, with his long-winded speech that he gave, always entertaining. But it's so powerful to see. And, with as awful as this past week and a half has been, again, there's been so much good to come of it. It really is, what's the term that kept getting flung out with everybody really embracing their faith, so many people opening their Bibles and going back to church. Revitalization, that wasn't the word, but I think
it's been no,
I'm blanking
now
out on
I'm losing it. It's been a revival.
Thank you.
We found the word.
So total revival, and hopefully this is something that can be sustained. We alluded to that last week, but when something so powerful happens on publicly, to where we are all viewing this just absolutely horrific event, there's so much good to come from it. A lot of negativity as well. Again, we're not going to waste time really focusing on that, but it's been an incredible week and a half, and I hope that this persists.
Well, I kind of had something that kept me up last night. So last night around dinner time, I got this really, really angry message from a face that I recognized right away. It was a subscriber that comments on literally every single Good Simple Living video and New World Old Soul podcast. And I just recognized her face.
There's been a lot of that recently.
Yeah, but like this one struck me because she's been with us for years and always really supportive. And the message was just so aggressive. And I mean, she called us bigots. She called us hateful. She said karma was coming for us. And I was like, whoa, I don't have time for this. Like, this is so negative. I can't win this woman over. So I blocked her. I just hit block.
On what platform?
On Good Simple Living Instagram, because I thought, I don't want to spend my evening arguing with somebody. And then last night I was like trying to figure out how to unblock someone on Instagram. I'm really bad on Instagram because I was like, I shouldn't have blocked her.
Why did you feel that way?
Because at the end she said, I've never felt so hurt. And then I thought, what is making her feel hurt? Like she said all this angry stuff and then she said, I feel hurt. And my initial reaction was block her. And then I started thinking about that last sentence. And I thought, okay, she's been with us for a long time and she's clearly angry. And people sometimes lash out with angry words when they indeed feel hurt.
Before delving into this, can we kind of establish what it is that like our mindset currently with everything it is that we've been experiencing?
We're just
because
tired, I think.
This has been one of a number of very similar messages that we've received. We have been dropped by yet another sponsor, and a lot of you out there are asking us about the sponsors that are dropping us, and we're not going to go into it for a number of reasons. One, don't want to focus on negativity. Two, don't want to get wrapped up in some kind of like legal liability issue.
Yeah, we have to be
not going to go there. Like we laid out last week, like, hey, if you don't want to work with us, then we don't have shared values, and we don't want to work with you either. But this is kind of where we are, and I don't like living here. But given all the negativity that we have been receiving with our our very heartfelt emotions to come along with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, this has just become a very exhausting, ongoing issue.
Yeah, like we said, if you don't want to work with us or you don't want to watch us and we don't want you to watch us or we don't want to work with you. And it's
but the difference with this
that.
particular comment, this private message, was the fact that she mentioned to you that she felt hurt. That there was a level of like deception that she expressed.
She felt deceived, like she had watched us a long time and that she just had never seen this in us, and she was just so shocked that we would align ourselves.
Do you want to read the messages?
I mean, I don't really want to read a private message because I feel like she didn't make it public on purpose.
I'm not gonna don't out the person, but do you just want to like kind of skim through it so that
like I said, she said that we were hateful. She said that we were bigots. She said that basically, I felt like she was saying that we were not allowed to be a certain way or to choose a certain side because you were brown and the kids were brown, and would I hate my own children if I just saw them on the street? And she viewed me as being like a very racist person.
This serves as a great example of kind of where I feel like all of us are collectively as a society, because I took offense to a portion that she wrote within that message when you read it back to me of being this whitewashed minority that was basically brainwashed into being for harboring a hatred of minorities, despite the fact that I am one, which I take complete offense to because nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah. And so then I thought, okay, I got a second chance because when I logged into Instagram on our podcast, which if you want, we have an Instagram on the podcast site as well, which is where like podcast questions are really better.
How many followers on there?
I don't know, not very many, like
dozens of followers.
No, we have like 5,000. I just started the page and I don't ever talk about it. I don't even think a lot of people know that we have an Instagram page for New World Old Soul, but she found that one as well. And so her message popped up again and I took it as a second chance to actually engage her and have a conversation.
Does a part of this stem from the fact that there's been so much discussion about Charlie Kirk and the way that he conducted himself with people that didn't think the way that he did?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of people in the media saying there's like, you can't reason with these people. We can't see eye to eye with these people. We can't, like, it was a choose a side, massive divide. And it's literally the opposite of what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. He was trying to have open dialogue. So I thought, you know what? Today's the memorial. This is keeping me up. This woman feels hurt. She is clearly misunderstanding. Like, she's making accusations that aren't true. So I don't think it's based on her hatred. I think it was based on like more of a place of hurt or feeling.
So you resorted to a very compassionate approach.
I tried.
And I will say, I know that last week I was guilty of saying like, there's no reasoning with these people, because that's honestly kind of genuinely how I feel. And maybe that's not the best approach.
Well, I think there definitely is a group where there is no reasoning. Like if you're on there laughing, making reels, playing music, celebrating, jumping up and down, I don't know that you can reason with that level of crazy.
I will acknowledge and admit that I have been guilty of like exhaustively blocking people, because I just do not have the time or I honestly just don't want to deal with it. And I'm not saying that's the best approach. When you began to very compassionately respond to her, it had a positive impact. Can I say that?
Not at first.
Not initially, but it got better over time. And that's because you had a very thorough dialogue to where you guys were respectfully going back and forth, which I think speaks volumes given where it is that we are. Like I said, it's so easy to be like, nope, you're team red, you're team blue. So screw you. You are the adversary. I'm done here. And that is not what generates any kind of productive anything. And that's not what Charlie Kirk did, which is why I was asking you whether or not that had made an impact upon you in any way. Because for him, you disagree, you're to the front of the line. Here's a microphone. Let's talk this out respectfully.
Yeah. Well, she's a mom and I'm a mom. So I thought, okay, we have that in common. Let's start there.
Right.
She's concerned about her kids. I'm concerned about my kids. Let's start there. So when I first had like, a rebuttal, my initial reaction was to defend myself. But then once I got over that, I said, I want to know, why do you feel the way that you feel? Genuinely asking. This is not an accusatory statement. Please tell me, why do you feel the way that you feel? And then she started providing examples. She started going into it more. She started explaining things. And then I would say, okay, well, I feel this way because of this. Or, well, I see this playing out, or I find this to be true, or I teach my children this. Why do you tell your children this? I tell my children this. And she says, why do you tell? So we had this whole back and forth. And then I just felt like we found more and more and more common ground. And then it became, okay, I see where you're coming from and I can agree here. Can we agree here? And then I remember like Charlie having that too, like, okay, where do we agree? Where's the common ground?
Right.
And I think if we can find where our common ground is, that's such a great starting point. And maybe there is no common ground to be found with certain people. And, okay, you're not going to agree with everybody.
But you can't shy away from the dialogue so long as that person is being respectful.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've been so quick. Again, I'm guilty of this myself, of labeling the other side as being like having this evil motivation. And it's not, again, there's nothing productive to come of that. Right. So long as we are being respectful and we are trying to hear one another out, I think this is such a valuable lesson and serves as such a great example of what should be happening, what needs to happen given the state of things. It's an absolute mess out there right now.
Yeah, I think that if there's common ground to be found, then we need to find it.
Yes.
And at a lot of time, we have more similarities than we have differences. There can be glaring differences, but there can be similarities as well. And at the end of the day, we're all people. We're all equal in the eyes of God. This doesn't need to be minorities versus whites, because I feel like we're getting a lot of that rhetoric on Instagram too. Like with all the, hey, if this was reversed, it would be this way. And why are we seeing this? And certain stories are being highlighted. And it's causing so much hatred and divide. And we already have so much of that. And it's really sad because people are like, this is it. This is civil war. And like, it cannot go in that direction.
Well, the racial divide that persists, like I've never, as a minority, speaking as a minority, I've never really understood it. This person was initially flinging out like a lot of just the tired old arguments of like minorities. Charlie Kirk didn't like minorities. And what did I tell you? I was like, well, somebody forgot to tell all the minorities that were at TPUSA's event, the Student Action Summit that we attended, where there was like groups of Asians, Hispanics, Blacks, all sharing in the same like righteous ideology. That's my own opinion. And like I told you at one point, I was in the like large banquet room where a lot of the vendors were set up, and there was a group of 10 Latino men and women like bouncing back and forth between Spanish and English. And turns out they were Cuban. As I overheard their conversation, they were talking about communism and why it is that they were so supportive of Charlie Kirk. But this just is it's an inaccurate narrative to say that he was racist in any way, or that the conservative ideology as a whole is racist in any way. It's about transparency, accountability, earning your place. I don't understand why we want to muddy that with this same racial narrative that has persisted for so long now. At what point can we move on from all of this?
Well, yeah, I think like kind of where we left it was I was talking about, well, his whole message is just that we can't have, it's not fair to have lower scores and lower expectations for people based on the way that they look. Or if you're Asian, you have higher expectations placed on you because you're Asian. Yeah. And statistically, you're going to do better.
You're penalized.
That is literally racism. Yes. And everyone should have the same thing. And she's like, well, but for inner city schools, like the funding is different and you don't have the same. And like, okay, I can see that. But then my answer would be, well, try to homeschool. And if you're not able to homeschool, maybe try to get your kids out of inner city schools. And like, maybe we need to be approaching the schools where the school funding is equal versus the test scores being lowered. Because I find lower test scores to be not only racist, but also super insulting.
The standards, lower standards.
Yeah, lower standards. Kaimani was saying, well, I don't want to get a job because I'm brown. I want to get a job because I earned it. Like I can't hang my hat on a life that was handed out to me because of the color of my skin. Like he doesn't want that. And he finds it very insulting for someone to think that he needs that.
It's degrading.
Like nobody wants to say, well, you're this or that, so we're going to let you start the race first. Like that's like, you're not capable of this, so we're going to give this to you. And it tells kids that they're less than.
Well, how about the admission standards for like Ivy League schools to where if you have an Asian background, you're penalized? How is that?
You are penalized. Fair? I don't know. That would be really hard for our kids.
Blind admissions.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Right. It shouldn't even say what race they are.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Completely merit-based.
I find that completely racist.
Omit the name, let your resume speak for itself. Mm-hmm. And if you are the person that deserves an allocated spot, then there you go.
100% merit-based. I like that. I just think that is literally like, we need to stop seeing race everywhere we look. And then she's like, well, why are you talking about handouts? You're alluding that minorities want handouts. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. Like you're taking that totally wrong. I don't think that you expect handouts. I'm saying that handouts are inherently racist. Like my kids don't want handouts and we teach them that they don't need them.
Right.
And then she's like, well, I agree. I'm out here, sending myself to college. I'm a widow and I'm working a job to support my 3 kids. And I was like, so you're out there killing it. You're out there being exactly like he literally would clap for you. He would be like, good job, mom. You are a single mom, which is going to make things harder for you. But instead of like rolling over and saying I'm a victim in this because your husband passed away, unfortunately, you're out there sending yourself to school, being mom and dad to 3 kids and working a job. Like you're out there killing it. I was like,
absolutely.
You're literally like Wonder Woman.
Yeah, you're the epitome of what it is that he was talking about. You're persevering. You're working hard, and you're earning your place. You're not expecting a handout. You're not expecting anything to be given to you. So frustrating to hear this.
So at the end of the day, like I think that we still see things differently. I think that we still see the world differently. But at the end of the day, we both agreed that yes, everyone's equal in the eyes of God. Yes, we both want people to stop seeing race everywhere. And yes, you should go out and earn it.
Is that where she was at?
That was where we left the conversation. I mean, she had to go to bed because she had to get up and go to work early in the morning. Yeah, look, she's out there killing it.
We care tremendously about our community members. Yes. Have I been guilty of like nuking people and blocking people for just sending in a crappy comment or message? Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that's the right way of handling it, but when you get bombarded with it and you have your day-to-day life going on, like I'm just like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah, it's been a heavy week. Gone. And so I think we've just been really sensitive. And that was my initial reaction too. And I'm so glad that I got a second chance to have a conversation with her.
I'm glad you fielded that comment though. And there was something maybe good to come from it. What I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe in the morning she tells me that I'm like the worst.
Yeah, I hate blocking anybody. We care a tremendous amount about all of you out there. You guys have helped us achieve our dreams over the last 6 or so years. And so, yeah, is it disheartening to get these types of messages? Absolutely. Do we want to lose people? No, we don't. Has there been a steady stream of that recently in the past 10, 11 days? Yeah, there has.
So we've been wanting to kind of shield ourselves from that too, so we don't let it affect us. But I think taking that 20 minutes to have that conversation was well worth it. I'm glad I did. Maybe it continues tomorrow. Maybe it gets heated again tomorrow. I don't know.
Maybe so. But either way, I think there's the valuable lesson to take away from all of it is that it's important to have the dialogue, to have the conversation, and not be so dismissive of one another, hear each other out. If it turns out that in the end we still disagree, so be it. And, everybody can choose for themselves whether you want to partake and follow along. Great. And if not, that's okay too.
Yeah. So then something else that I saw pop up online several times today and throughout the week was, why don't you guys care as much about the victims of some of these school shootings that we've been seeing? We haven't seen you guys comment on them. Do you care about these kids?
It's been a very prevalent what about.
Yes.
A lot of whatabouts.
Yeah, and a lot of like spinning it or like trying to deter or trying to, say, a lot of whatabouts.
Well, fall is here and we're all going to be spending a lot more time inside, unfortunately, which means cuddling up and searching out new movies and shows. If you want to watch something that is not only entertaining, but also inspires your faith, lifts you up, celebrates God, country, and family values, definitely check out Angel Studios. They offer so many great titles that we can stand behind. Movies like The Sound of Freedom, Homestead, and The Last Rodeo.
Yeah, they also have some exceptional children's content, which honestly alone is so worth signing up for. We have really enjoyed King of Kings, Young David, and The Tuttle Twins, which is based off some of our favorite homeschool book series. We also love Iggy and Mr. Kirk. It is such a fun and sweet show for the little ones.
Yeah, Angel has so many great films, documentaries, and children's programming, and they're always adding new, exciting, and exceptional titles so we don't run out of safe and inspiring entertainment that we can enjoy together as a family.
And right now, when you join Angel Guild, you can stream all of these titles plus so many more. Angel Studios is delivering family-friendly entertainment that actually leaves you feeling good. Films that champion faith, freedom, and self-reliance.
We're so happy to support them, and we'd love for you to join us and enjoy all that Angel Studios has to offer. To sign up today, go to angel.com/NWOS to become a premium Angel Guild member today. So we talked a lot about how overwhelming big life decisions can feel, whether it be moving, having kids, caring for loved ones, and when it comes to healthcare, it can get even more stressful.
Yeah, take Medicare, for example. I know my own mom really struggled with enrollment. There were too many plans, too much conflicting advice, and she's not alone. Every year, millions of seniors make mistakes that cost them thousands of dollars and sometimes even access to the doctors that they trust. And that's why we are so proud to partner with Chapter.
Chapter's founders started the company after watching their own parents get bad advice, ending up on the wrong Medicare plan and stuck with lifelong penalties. Their mission is simple: make sure that no one else has to go through that. Unlike other advisors, Chapter searches every single Medicare plan nationwide to find the one that's right for you. On average, they save people $1,100 a year, and even more importantly, a whole lot of stress.
Yeah, and calling them is free and easy, and here's what I love most. They'll always be honest. If you're already on the right plan, they're going to tell you, and if not, they will help you switch. So give them a call at 484-812-4045 and feel confident in your Medicare coverage.
A lot of that stemmed from the fact that on the same day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was yet another school shooting in Colorado, and that followed up the was it the Annunciation School? Is that correct? Mm-hmm. School shooting, and let me just say right off the bat here, like of course. We do care about those things. We can't address everything that's happening in the world. And the once a week that we hop in here to have conversations, condemn those actions. I think it's horrific. I think it's absolutely disgusting that these schools are being targeted and no one life is more valuable than the other. But in our particular case, when it came to Charlie Kirk and everything that transpired, given the fact that we know we had recent contact with him, this is something that, like we mentioned, Nevaeh has been pursuing herself. It had a significant impact upon our family. And we don't like, and I know this is true for many of you out there, we don't like focusing on all the negativity that happens on a daily basis. We like coming in here and trying to keep it positive because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the negativity and it really eats away at you. So you wanted to have a discussion because you floated out there whether or not I should speak on all of these, on all the school violence, given my prior position as a police officer who at one point in time was assigned as a school resource officer.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that you spent the last 3 years of your police career as an SRO, which is a school resource officer. Your literal job was to protect the school, the high school and the middle school, correct?
I had a significant portion. I basically had my own district that I was responsible for within the greater school district itself. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was one officer, but you had like a district, but really you were stationed in the high school.
I was assigned to, yes, one particular high school, which is where I was stationed out of. And then I had a middle school and I think 6 elementary schools, if I'm remembering correctly. This is going back years ago now. So...
Yeah, like how long would it take you to actually get to those schools if something went on?
One of the elementary schools?
Yeah, I feel like the event would be over by the time you even got there.
It would most likely be over, and the guys working patrol would beat me to the incident address. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, that was something that kind of, really caught my eye. And I used to work in schools as well. I was a teacher, and I would often think how, like, Columbine happened our senior year, junior or senior year.
Was that 99? No, I think it was sophomore year.
Was it?
Somewhere in there. Yeah. Middle of high school.
Okay. So we were in high school though, when that happened. And that was
a big
shocking.
Deal. That was not the first school shooting.
It wasn't the first, but I feel like it started the trend or
it got a lot of notoriety because it's just given the time, I think. And then,
the nature
of it was evil. Again, you want to reference evil. I wouldn't encourage anyone to go out there and access the video or the audio recordings of what was taking place during Columbine because it will ruin your day. It was horrible.
It was horrible. And that really opened up my eyes to the possibility and, well, really what a target schools were. And there were several times when I would just sit there and ponder that as a teacher. I would look at, I had that outdoor door in my classroom, that just was open to basically the parking lot. Yeah. And I felt very exposed in that. And then when I was working in the high school, I was in a cubicle, or not a cubicle, what's the little outside building? The portable.
Yes.
I was in a portable, not a cubicle. So I worked in a portable and I felt very exposed in the portables. Like I'm separate from the school and like I didn't have a first period. It was always dark. And then I just thought like, this isn't very safe. And then also if somebody wanted to just come and target this portable, I'm just separated from everybody. And it really got me thinking about school safety in general. And then when you became an SRO and I saw how school security was run and I heard more about the ins and outs, like people started asking us, do you think the schools are secure? And I said, do you want to hear Jeremy's honest opinion on this? It is the start of the school year. A lot of people watching have kids and grandkids in schools, whether it's private school, private academies, or public schools, universities. How safe are these schools? What can we do to keep our kids secure? Like, there's so many people that want to make it, pew-pew free zones. That will help make it secure. And then other people that are like, no, teachers need to be caring. That'll make it secure. Or, I mean, what do you think? What can we realistically do to keep kids secure? Coming from someone whose job was to keep kids safe.
There's no simple answer. There's no one simple solution. I've always been very reluctant to express my own opinion on this based on my experience as a police officer and a school resource officer, especially because so many people out there, when it comes to public schools especially, are very impassioned about it, which I get. There are positive elements to come along with our public education system. I'd say there are a lot of negatives as well. We homeschool, and I will say that a part of our motivation for homeschooling was the fact that you cannot ensure in full the safety of your child if they are going to be attending a public schooling institution or building of some kind. I had teachers come up to me while I was a school resource officer asking me my opinions on this very thing and whether or not, I remember one instance of a teacher coming up to me asking whether or not I thought it would be prudent to have teachers be armed in the schools. And my honest, transparent response to that was, yes, I think it would be worthwhile to implement that. However, I would never advocate for a mandate of any kind, because if there's something you do not want, it is people who are reluctant to carry a pew-pew on their person or in their classroom to have one. Not something I would ever, make an argument for, ever. However, I do think that if you have it open-ended and you have staff members who are willing, with some stipulations, to be armed on a school campus, I think that you would be doing a much better job of ensuring the safety of some children.
Okay, now we've had this conversation in our home. I feel a little bit differently because maybe if it's on them, but like it cannot be in a desk or in a purse or anything like that.
It should ideally be on your person.
Because I think it would have to be, because if it's just in the classroom or like maybe in a safe of some kind, but then even in a safe, like a teacher could be forced to get it out. I'm afraid that it could be used against the teacher or the classroom by a student if they knew that the teacher had it.
It could be. That's always a possibility. That's fear. That's something that you have to deal with as a police officer, right? Like I remember being trained, and it was always, hey, every interaction, every contact, it's always an armed interaction because there is a weapon involved. If at any point an unarmed person wanted to attack me, incapacitate me, knock me out, and take my weapon, guess what? Now all of a sudden they are armed. There's no perfect scenario or simple solution, like I mentioned before. But to answer the very simple question of whether or not your kids are safe, you cannot guarantee their safety or anyone's safety in any situation. You can try to minimize those risks as best as possible. But to say that, okay, now we're good, we're locked down, these kids are safe, I guarantee it. It's not a possible standard to achieve. That's environmental. That's as far as your policies and whether or not you have people that are armed. So when it comes to trying to minimize those risks, I think having the open option of having teachers that are willing to train, to qualify, to keep up on those qualifications and those trainings, and enact and write up some additional policies for that everybody had to abide by. I think that'd be a good option. Also environmentally, like those buildings were a nightmare to try to keep secure. And I don't know if people realize that. You need to have a single point of entry. Everything else needs to absolutely 100% be locked down. Obviously you want
an airport.
You want the option of fire egress so people can exit if need be. But like with my kids in my high school, like I used to get on them because they would constantly ditch class and leave the building, and they would prop the doors open because they wanted the ability to sneak back in so that they didn't have to check in at the front office, because then everybody would know that you were truant and you were skipping class. So I would walk around on a regular basis and constantly find doors being propped open. If I hung out and the kid made their way back in, I would grill them. I'm like, what are you doing? You're jeopardizing everybody's safety by doing this. I don't know if you realize that, because you're not, of the same mindset that I am, but somebody could just walk in here and do awful things.
I think that's a really good point.
Number of people.
That seems like a really easy solution, though. You have a single point of entry. Single point of entry. And I feel like there should be metal detectors in every single school at that single point of entry.
If it were up to me.
And bag checks.
Here's the other uncomfortable part of this, because to make it as safe as we would all like to see our schools be, you would have to you kind of have to design it like a prison. And I hate saying that because nobody wants their child to attend a building. Or an airport.
I mean, we're protecting our airplanes.
Sure. We had 3 security officers in our school on top of, my presence as an armed police officer. They had tasers. They wore, ballistic vests. There's only so much that can be done, and we had a lot of really concerning issues that I kind of felt like we lucked out on, honestly, to where people were making their way onto the campus. We had people, adults even, that meandered into the building that was supposed to be somewhat secured because there was a process in place of like having to go check in at the office. But we had people make their way into the building, which always wigged me out, because if that was an evildoer that wanted to harm a number of people, they had the opportunity to do so given the circumstance and situation. So ideally, in order to ensure your child's safety, in my personal opinion, it would kind of have to resemble a prison. I'm talking like building lockdown. You'd want an exterior barrier of some kind. Mm-hmm. You want everybody to have to, even with checking in, like even if there was a single point of entry, you want the ability to like look into that person's criminal history and whether or not they're like a violent offender, or, because some parents do actually fall. Criminals have kids too. Mm-hmm. And it's just, there's a lot to be mindful of, and you can do your very best, but kind of like kind of like driving in a car. Like you can never fully guarantee that nothing bad is ever going to happen because all of that is being dictated by the actions of somebody else. So you can try to be as safe as you can possibly be, but you never know, and you can never fully account for everything. There are hypotheticals and circumstances that thank God have not transpired as of yet. But I will tell you that there are scenarios that have been discussed based on some intelligence gathering. I don't even know how much to float out here, but let's just say there is like a terroristic scenario that has the potential to play out in our schools. And God, if that were to ever happen, it would be awful. The result of that would be multiple fatalities. Multiple. It would not be good. We've seen a lot of lone actors in these situations, and that I hate even putting this out there. I think that'll begin to change over time to where you have a coordinated effort by multiple actors who come up with a plan and utilize tactics in a scenario that will unfortunately injure and cause a lot of harm to a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the solutions that I've seen just don't sound like they're solutions at all. Like they want more laws and all this stuff. But people that are going to go do these horrific things aren't going to follow laws.
I'll tell you my biggest, like the thing I hated most was the whole pew pew free zone.
Yeah.
You might as well advertise that everybody here is a sitting duck.
Literally why the schools are being targeted.
And again, I know that people don't like hearing that, but I will tell you that in many states, depending on how pew pew friendly it is, you're walking amongst people who are armed at any given time and you are completely unaware of it. If we had parents of kids who were attending school who were there for like an after school sporting event, and let's say they had like a police or a military background, and because of that they understood the importance of maybe carrying a concealed weapon, I would be all for that. Like that person should be granted admittance into the school rather than be treated like a criminal because they would be technically violating the law in Washington State, where I was a school resource officer.
Yeah, I mean, so why can't we do it where we invest more money to secure the schools? Because people are not going to follow the laws if they're hell-bent on doing something horrific as, going to
it's a pew pew free zone? Okay, never mind. Then I'm not going to carry
like,
out
obviously
that. It's worthless.
They're there to hurt children. So no amount of laws is going to stop them.
No. They're law violators. They're rule breakers.
We have, they exist in our country and they're not going anywhere. So no amount of laws is going to prevent that. No amount of laws is going to prevent that.
Never.
And a lot of these people are obtaining their weapons from legally.
It's such a big discussion.
And they have no background.
It's a massive discussion to be had. Like you go into mental health, you go into these SSRIs and look, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but look into the people that have committed these horrific acts and the percentage of them. I think I want to say it's basically 100% of the people that have done these massive acts of violence that are on SSRIs, and so you can have a bigger discussion there about mental health and how it is you try to preemptively prevent them from obtaining the pew pews. There's a lot.
Yeah,
there's a lot that could be done, but there's no perfect simple solution.
So it seems like there should be like an entry, like you said, a point of entry, but then also you can't just walk in and the metal detectors are there. Like I feel like it should be like a prison where you have to get through security and then you can enter the building.
For sure.
So that you're keeping everyone out. A single point of entry, and then any of the doors should not be able to be propped open, because I think if a door is open,
an alarm should sound.
There should be either an alarm that sounds like a fire alarm, or have a school resource officer in every single school, and they should have like something kind of alert that says this door is open, that door is open, this door is open. So you know immediately.
And you want to talk like finances and budget, like nobody likes paying higher property taxes. And what you were talking about doing would be like an overhaul of every single school campus in the United States. It would be like a massive amount of taxpayer dollars.
But just putting an alert on doors that are propped open seems easy enough.
And there are
systems, security system.
There are systems like that, but I think they're very costly. And I think you run into those just
Can
restrictions.
It just be on a screen where like the door lights up red for any admin staff?
No, there are a lot of companies that were coming out with like a lot of really innovative techs to assist with things like that. But again, I think you run into budgetary issues.
And then like the doors, where like if there is an active, shooting situation where the doors lock, and then that glass that they have on the doors being bulletproof. You don't always want those
because you can lock everybody.
Yeah, you can lock everyone.
A part of the tactics that were being used by a lot.
Well, I don't think it should be automatic, but like the teacher should have the ability to do it.
Yeah, a tactic that was being used by a lot of these people, unfortunately, and there are a lot of copycats. Which I just feel so weird about even putting this out there. But like they'll try to entrap everybody.
Right.
Through just common sense means of making sure that points of potential egress or exit were secured from the outside. So
you speak like such a police officer
about these types of things.
Points of egress.
But I guess my biggest, like Charlie Kirk would always point out, like our children are our most precious commodity in our country, and you reference like airports, like. Everything it is that we use to make sure that everybody's safe when they're getting onto a plane or accessing a terminal. Our banks, we're protecting our money with pew-pews and all this technology.
You walk into a bank kids, and you've got an officer sitting there on a stool.
Yeah.
But yet when it comes to our children, our tax dollars are not going to protect them. And I just think there's so much more that can be done.
Supporting Preborn's mission of being a voice for the preborn and supporting mothers facing unexpected pregnancies has really taken on whole new meaning with the loss of Charlie Kirk, because he was not only a very passionate advocate for the pro-life movement, but also for Preborn as an organization.
Yeah, because when a woman experiences an unplanned pregnancy, she often feels alone and afraid. So many times her first response is to seek out termination. In fact, 1 in 4 pregnancies will end in termination. But because of the generosity of listeners like you, that search may lead her to a Preborn Network clinic, where she will choose life, not just for her baby, but also for herself.
Preborn offers God's love and compassion to hurting women and then provides a free ultrasound to open their eyes to the life growing inside of them. And we now know that when a woman is shown that first ultrasound, they will choose life 80% of the time, which is why Preborn sees an average of 200 babies saved every day.
And their work doesn't stop there. Preborn supports new moms for the first 2 years by supplying diapers, formula, clothing, critical medical care, and even parenting classes so that they can fully embrace motherhood.
Your tax-deductible donation of $28 sponsors one ultrasound, and a free ultrasound can save a life. To donate, either click the link down below, or you can also go to preborn.com/NWOS. That's preborn.com/NWOS. Did you know that all chips and fries used to be cooked in tallow up until the 1900s when big corporations switched to processed seed oils?
Yeah, today seed oils actually make up 20% of the average American's daily calories, and recent studies have linked seed oils to metabolic health issues and inflammation in the body. So Masa decided that they were going to do something about it.
Yeah, they created a tasty and delicious tortilla chip with just 3 ingredients and no seed oils: organic nixtamalized corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. These chips not only avoid all the bad stuff, but they taste incredible too.
Masa is crunchier, tastier, and sturdier than other chips and won't break in the guac. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you actually feel satisfied, light, and energetic, with no bloat, no crash, or gross, sluggish feeling afterwards.
An added bonus is that the beef tallow makes the chips much more satisfying, so you won't find yourself uncontrollably binging and still feeling hungry afterwards. Masa Chips is beloved by literally tens of thousands of customers and has been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition experts.
So if you're ready to give Masa a try, just go to masachips.com/oldsoul and use code OLDSOUL for 25% off your first order. That's masachips.com/oldsoul and code OLDSOUL for 25% off your first order.
It's so screwed up.
It makes my head spin.
It makes zero sense. You go to court, you have crazy security, you access an airport terminal, crazy security, banks. You name it, we've all been there. You go to a sporting event nowadays, so you
what
can't.
do we spend on
you
TSA?
You can watch a football game and feel like you're relatively safe, but God forbid you let your 5-year-old child attend kindergarten in their public school, and it's just like drop them off and pray that everything works out okay. Like, it makes absolutely zero sense.
Yeah, you walk into a conference, they have clear bag policies. You have to walk through a metal detector. You have to have. Yeah, you have to have ID to get in, all of these things, but then our kids are just coming and going in school.
I guess I just don't understand why that sounds so far-fetched to people. Like, are we not all on the same page?
It like makes them feel, they're like, well, it will put fear into our kids, or what puts fear into kids? Watching school shootings all the time. Yeah. Like, it's becoming more and more and more common. Like, oh, another one today. Oh, did you see that there was another one today? And it's becoming so common. That's going to make kids way more afraid than feeling like I'm walking into a secure building. Everyone's been searched. You can only go through these doors. And I feel like there should be armed security armed security.
I wouldn't even say armed
private
security. I think that
Our college campuses have
every
it.
school district, much like a lot of colleges and university, I think every school district, ideally, again, it's never going to happen for budgetary reasons, most likely, but every single school district should have its own police force.
That's what I meant.
I think they should be commissioned police officers who attend a police academy like any other police officer.
Like university police.
It would be a such and such school district police department. And that makes a lot of people really uncomfortable for whatever reason, much like I said, designing school campuses to kind of resemble prisons. I get that one because, again,
well, they're run like prisons anyway. Stand in line, go to the cafeteria,
it's a separate
eat Cisco
discussion.
food.
Yeah, it's the same food.
It's like a prison to me.
Yeah, but I get why that makes people uncomfortable. Again, nobody wants to be dropping your child off in a building that has fences and barbed wire and all that. But
I would rather that. I mean, literally, I can't. I mean, there's multiple reasons that we homeschool, but security is a big one.
It is.
It is. It's a big one because I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can. I can't drop my kid off and drive away. Like, it's just something that is.
And so much of what happens in these schools, depending on the school, people are completely oblivious to. But in this day and age, the types of crimes and incidents that I was dealing with working into the school, like there was always a stigma attached to being a school resource officer. It's kind of looked at as like a kind of a cush position, I suppose.
Oh, there's a lot of hush hush that goes on in this.
There's a lot of like, do make sure this does not leak, and for like understandable reasons. I'm not saying that it's right. I actually don't think it's right whatsoever.
Based on funding and statistics.
It's based on making sure that parents don't have knowledge of what is occurring. And I mean, we had like serious felonies occurring. We had multiple instances of weapons being found, even in the middle school. We had, like these teenagers nowadays are dealing with a lot. Granted, the world's a complicated place, and a lot of these kids aren't necessarily coming from like very healthy backgrounds, and so the things that would occur were somewhat shocking to me initially, and even for myself, like as a police officer, I'm only one person. I'm only one man. Like there's only so much that even I could do being stationed in the high school. If something big were to happen, it would take more than just myself. Like if a similar circumstance were to occur out in the world or in a residence, you would get a massive response. And granted, I could summon that massive response. But that initial contact to be made in a violent circumstance, you're talking about just one-on-one, maybe one on more than one. So there's really only so much that can be done, which is why, again, I would propose and advocate for a police force for every school. How reasonable is that? Probably not very.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so much more we can do. And I don't know that more regulations and more laws are actually going to do anything. I know that looks good on paper. And I know it's like, okay, well, then you don't want to do anything. And it's like, no, but there's actual things that could help. Passing laws or like placing new stipulations, I just don't see that as preventing a single one of these occurrences.
Laws don't work. You're talking about people that are like, again, they're violating the law.
Yeah.
That's what criminals do. They don't, that's not stopping anyone. And there's a lot of suicidal ideation that comes along with a lot of these people, and they want to inflict damage and then check out. So, laws don't do crap.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think we need real world approaches to this, and it's something that shouldn't be divisive. I think we need to really get real about protecting our schools. So, I mean, people wanted you to talk about it. They wanted you to address it. They wanted to hear from a school resource officer. But yeah, I was a teacher. You were a school resource officer. We both experienced life inside the public schools. We both had serious concerns about the security of the schools, and I think those things still exist. Yeah, we're seeing a rise in this behavior.
For clarity's sake, before we hop off that topic here, let me just say, like, I don't want our schools to look or resemble prisons. All I'm saying is that if you want to make it as safe of an environment as you possibly can, that's what would be required.
Yeah.
I think there are some very healthy, reasonable things that could be implemented to help combat these problems, but it's just more of the societal decay that we're seeing everywhere. Mm-hmm. But when you have a place with how we're currently operating, when you have a place that is labeled as a pew free zone, it's not going to do it. You're going to be a target for these people. And if you want to make an impact on society or have, your name become prevalent in the news cycle, you're going to target children. They're the most innocent among us. It's no coincidence that this continues to occur in our schools.
Yeah, I just think it's the most hurtful place where you can hit people. And yeah, this school year is already off to a really rough start. And so I think people are really worried about it, and
They should be.
they feel really hurt by it. And they're dropping their kids off and their grandkids, and kids are going off to university. And we just continue to see the rhetoric is heating up. The divide is heating up. The conversations are shutting down. It's us versus them. It's choose a side. And there's certain issues where we really need to come together, where everybody needs to come together and say, we need real world solutions here. We need things that are actually can be implemented, that are going to work, that aren't going to look good on paper.
That's a big ask right now.
Going to work. It is a big ask. It's kind of crazy that I feel like just nobody can agree on anything. It's like, if all of a sudden Republicans start caring about organic food, now all of a sudden that's the enemy. Or, health decisions, they want health freedom decisions to, pokes, I'm getting at that. I don't want to get blocked.
It requires a lot of compromise. And I don't think that we currently are living in a situation where people are willing to give, which is unfortunate. And I'm including myself in that. I'm just with where we are, I'm just kind of hoping that things simmer down, because everyone's turning up the temperature again, including myself in that. And something needs to change. I don't know how we get there. We were talking earlier today with the kids about how, after 9/11, it seemed like everybody really came together, had a lot of patriotism. And in 24 years now since, look at the divide. I don't think. I know we've never been so far apart on things.
Well, maybe the Civil War.
There's a lot of discussion about stuff like that too, and that wouldn't be a good thing. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, let's do it. That would not be good for anyone.
Yeah, let's not rally for that. We don't want
calm down.
Our United States separated. It's
it's just crazy that
divided we fall. Remember,
it's crazy that that's where we are though. It's unreal.
There's so much turmoil around the world. We don't need our country to divide as well. We need to figure out where we do agree. We need to figure out how we can come together. Yes, there are fringe, radical, crazy, loud people on social media on both sides. 100%. There's radical people on the right. There's radical lefties.
But there are also people who are being labeled as being radical that are not.
Right. Yeah. And I think that just causes further and further divide. I think if you're just talking to another parent, you've got so much in common.
Let's bring it back to Charlie Kirk. The guy was very moderate and reasonable.
Yeah, and there's so many people that are so much more radical. People were saying oh, I'm being accused of this and this because I followed him and his radical, or I'm being called radical, and then I'd never heard of him, and I started watching his content, and I was like, okay, I'm so much more radical than this guy. This guy's actually pretty moderate.
And it's just again, the people who are saying, oh, he was this, and this is again, you have not taken the guy in or digested. I hate to go back to the Charlie Kirk thing. It's been such a source of frustration the last week and a half. Having people come to us of oh, he was this and this and this, so you guys must be this and this and this as well.
Right.
It's no, we're not that, and neither was he. And if you spent any time investigating the claims that you're making, you would know that, which is how I know that you have not spent any time watching any content, knowing who the guy is. You are completely mischaracterizing him and subsequently mischaracterizing us.
Well, I think the media plays into that. I think social media plays the biggest part of that. The divide has become so much deeper and so much more aggressive with social media. People are arguing behind a screen, and so it's more brazen attacks.
It's detached.
People are arguing with their own family members behind screens, where if you were sitting in a room with your cousin or your best friend from high school or whoever you happen to be fighting with at this current time, because I know everybody's fighting with somebody right now, and they're literally ending friendships. Holidays, I've heard holidays are going to look very different this year. Don't let that be.
I'm not doing it. I'm fired up. I'm just as fired up as anybody else when it comes to all this. And there's the Jimmy Kimmel stuff going on this week. I have my own opinions on that as well. But I'm checking out of the social media space more and more. And you know what? It's worked wonders. I'm much happier being outside, trying to get my grass to grow in my yard, moving a sprinkler around, just, spending time with Micah, watching him chuckle, just getting back to family, getting back to what's simple. certainly more meaningful to me as a just individual, and the social media crap. I'm just like, you know what? Every time I hop on there, I get fired up and freaking pissed. So I'm kind of just like, whatever. I'm out.
It becomes exhausting,
It
but
does.
I do want to keep the dialogue going, but at the same time, it's like,
Hey, but look at you though, having positive interactions with people that are coming at you aggressively. Good for you. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad you got that message and not me, because for me, it just would have been a block.
it wasn't my initial reaction by any means. My initial reaction was defend yourself, block this person. My initial reaction was like,
Well, good for you.
come at me. But
good for you. You're setting an example, and it's something that I think all of us need to embrace more so. Again,
I don't know. Again, tomorrow morning she might be mad at me,
myself
but
included. But either way,
if that's the case, I'm going to try to continue to.
You put in the effort, and it's, I don't know. Social media is good and bad, but it just seems to be so extreme. Like there's been so much good in our experience with doing social media, and all of you out there, again, for those who are positive, thank you so much. Not only have you helped us along the way, but we've been able to collectively do so much good. So big thanks to all of you out there. I hope that was relatively positive, because I said we were going to come in here and try to be positive this week.
I think if we can leave it on a positive note, it would just be like, if you have been fighting with a family member, somebody, or a friend, if they were a friend, you obviously had a bunch of touch points where you got along or where you saw eye to eye. Like there was stuff that you enjoyed about this person and things that you had in common. So maybe instead of like just fighting over a person or an ideology or politics or something like that, see, okay, where do we see eye to eye? Why do you believe this? This is why I believe this. Where can we come together? And maybe you agree to disagree on certain things, but I don't think it needs to end everything.
Easier said than done. I will say my big takeaway from like even watching that memorial today is like, let's just treat each other with like some baseline level degree of kindness and respect. And, I think the response has been great following Charlie Kirk's assassination, and everyone, including myself, being super fired up and pissed about what happened.
Yeah, but
you didn't see any violence.
Nope.
You just, you saw a lot of people dive back into what it is that we are commanded to do, which is to leave it to God and live out humble, happy lives.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. I mean, if Erica Kirk can get up there and forgive, we can all do it too. And I just think that's the first step towards healing. Do we need to agree? Do we need to celebrate everything? Do we need to vote the same? No, of course not. That's what makes this country diverse and great. But we cannot continue to exist in the state of hatred. We need to try to find common ground again, because it's been really, really a difficult week. I'm not saying that it's over by any means. Things could ramp up even more.
God, I hope not.
I really hope not. I don't know. It's been tricky.
Let's not do the 60s.
It's been really tricky, but I mean, our country has found its way back from these kind of situations before. We did it after the Civil War. We did it after the divide in the 60s. There was a lot of stuff that fired up in the 90s, and we've been able to find our way back, and I'm hoping that we can do it again, but I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but it's going to take effort. It's going to take understanding. It's going to take conversation.
Amen, sister. There you go. And on that note, I want to thank you for being here once again on the New World Old Soul podcast. Thank you for watching, listening. Again, we wouldn't do this if you guys weren't here to so graciously receive it. So we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Okay. Till then, you guys take care. God bless. We'll see you then.
Living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men hold